Hi, my name is Colby. I am in Mr. Holden's game design class, and this is my twin stick shooter that I'm working on currently. And everything done is done in Unreal 5, which has two forms of programming, C++, which is literally just code, and blueprint scripting, which is this, where you have these nodes that do certain things and you attach them through your execution pipeline, which is this white line right here. And in my game, I can move around a spaceship. Enemies spawn randomly. If you run into them, you lose health and they spawn a power up. You could also shoot them, and if you shoot them, they have a chance to drop a health power up, which you can grab to get health back. And after a certain score, which is 400 currently, a boss spawns. So, yeah. He has three different phases. I can get him to his second phase, in which he just looks at me and shoots two more bullets to the sides of him. If I get him to his third phase, he spawns two pawns to the side of him, and also shoots homing rockets at you, which do a little more damage than these bullets do. Yeah, there we go. This is his third and final phase. If you end up killing him, everything restarts and you just go back to the beginning. If I die, however, game over. And I can press R to restart and it restarts me from the beginning. And you could just keep doing whatever. But as for the going through walls, which I think I forgot to mention, you could go through walls and shoot through them. As for that, there are these green boxes that perimeter my play area, which is this black platform. And everything outside of this black platform you can't see. So these green boxes are called trigger boxes, and you could call events for if anything overlaps them, which I have done in this main level right here, and I have this nice handy dandy comment over them that says teleports. And what this is basically doing is whenever this particular trigger volume gets overlapped by an actor, it wants to teleport whatever the actor is, and we can see that here. Other actor, which is basically asking for what is the actor that is overlapping this trigger volume, it wants to teleport that actor to a location. And what this is doing is it's getting the actor location and adding it or subtracting it based on the X or Y values of whatever actor is there. So in this trigger volume, which is actually the first one that had an example for, it's taking the actor location of wherever it's hitting it, and it's adding 1200 X units to whatever the location is, which ends up being down here. And this is also saying it wants the rotation of the actor, and it wants to keep the rotation of the actor. So you're not going in the volume at an angle and end up, instead of coming out at an angle, going like facing forward or backwards or whatever. So all this is doing is taking the actor location, adding or subtracting the X or Y value to it, and then teleporting it to that location and keeping the rotation the same. As for the enemies, how they take damage and die basically is the bullets that we have. Actually, I don't have one open, but the bullets that you shoot um, apply damage to any of these classes basically. And each pawn, so enemies, each have a class. This one is the pawn parent, this one is the random movement pawn, which are currently spawning. This one is the boss pawn, which was the big red boss that spawned. And this one is the little minions that the boss spawned when he got to his third phase. And what this is saying basically is if the bullet overlaps one of these classes, any of them, apply damage, and this is the base damage of the bullet, which is currently 1. And when you apply the damage, destroy itself. So, when the pawn parent takes any damage, it's saying, hey, subtract my health that I'm currently at from however much damage I took, and if that health, that result, is less than 0, then I want to do anything past this do once. And what that is basically doing is it's saying, hey, get my twin stick pawn, get the score of the twin stick pawn. So currently, if I just start the game, it'd be 0 in top right. So it would take that score, add whatever this give score variable is, which you could see all your variables down here. It would add the give score variable to the total score that you have and make that the total score. And that's how you would gain score off of an enemy. And after that, it has a 50-50% chance to actually I made it a quarter, so this is wrong. This should be 25%. 25% chance to spawn a health power up, which all that is basically I have this random integer in a range, and the minimum value is 1 and the max value is 4, and it's saying whatever that value is that comes out of it, if it is this number, it would spawn this power up class. If it is not, which that's what this default node is, or output, that's what this default means. If it's not any number that has a output, then it defaults to this. So if it's not 1, it just destroys itself. And that's how you get your RNG, I guess you could say. And then, how the power-up spawn when you hit the enemy is this. This is saying, whenever I get hit, I want to get hit by the twin stick pawn, which is the player character. So, when it gets hit by the twin stick, it wants to set my score to give score, and you know, we've seen this up here. This was just this. That's all this is. So, after we set score, or when we set score at the same time, we have a do once to apply damage to the twin stick pawn. And that's where this collide damage comes from. That's how much damage we do to the player whenever we collide. And then we want to set the visibility and collision to 0 or false, so the player can't see the enemy and can't contact the enemy, so it's not instantly killing you whenever you overlap the enemy, so it's not having multiple collision points. And then after that, we want to delay, so it takes a little bit before the power-up spawns, so you're not running into an enemy and then immediately getting a power-up right after. And we want to have another switch, which is, we've gone over that up here. This is just, if the number is not this, it's a default, but if it is, then execute this execution node. So, we have this array that is basically just text that says this is what that is and this is what that is. And it wants a random number in this array, so 0 or 1, and we have a switch. And this doesn't have a default because everything in this array has an output. So we have this execution pipeline into if the random number is a 0, it has this attack power up child, and if it is a 1, it has the multi-shot power up. And what this is doing, it's spawning the power up where the actor is. So if it is a 1 per se, it would spawn the multi-shot power up child, which is this, which is the 3 bullets that made me shoot 3 bullets at the location of itself, and then it would just destroy itself. But besides that, that is my twin stick game, and that is some of the stuff behind it.